you're not going to understand my Turkish. I have a special one. Thank you. You're welcome. So, we're going to have two sessions today. Two sessions that really focusing on real-life projects. Okay, the first session will be more an introduction, okay, of positioning all the artifacts, especially on the problematic of enterprise design and governance activity versus project activity, because that's usually, where it should start. Should we have a complete architecture team before starting enterprise architecture activity, okay? Or should we address projects? Well, my message, and specifically in what we apply in the project where we are involved, where the center of gravity of this project is essentially IC industry, information, communication, and entertainment industry. Okay, that's the old, new word for the old word of telco industry, ICT industry. Okay. So, yes, I'm a consultant. I'm also a trainer for the TM Forum and supporting advisory services on behalf of the TM Forum. Okay. TM Forum is just a non-profit organization where all the members are telco service providers, okay, but also software vendors, university, and also, due to the fact that we are speaking about digital services now, you have banks. For example, you have UBS, Credit Suisse, you have also more and more companies from other industries. Okay. We're going to see why. Okay. Because finally we all connected. Okay, so let's enter into the subject. Our approach of enterprise architecture is really to try to demystify the complexity of enterprise architecture. Okay? And when I'm speaking about enterprise architecture, design and governance, I'm speaking about not IT architecture, I'm speaking about business and system architecture. Okay? Why it's difficult to find the balance between these two types of activity? Because EA design and governance, it's really focusing on, let's say, mid-term to long-term business value. Okay? A project is addressing pain, a pain point that you have here. It's hurting here, you need to address this pain point, find a solution. How can we move on this? So it's a balance between the two. Okay? What we're going to see, and of course, it's 20 minutes, so we're not going to have the time to enter into the detail, but at least it's important to identify what are the rules of the game, okay? And simplify this rule to have a picture that can cover business architecture and system architecture. Well, when it's about starting about enterprise architecture or addressing the problematic of a service provider, quite often, I'm saying service provider. For me, it's a communication service provider. So, if by chance, and it will happen, I see service provider, think enterprise, your enterprise. Clear? So, the enterprise, when they approach a business transformation, business and system transformation, they have a hard time to know which road to take. Should we take the road of enterprise architecture? Should we take the road of enterprise program, transformation program? Should we take the road of compliance to industry standards, TOGAF, or frameworks, TM4 frameworks? Oh, and then they heard about service-oriented architecture, and then they heard about ITIL. Okay. And quite often they have this difficulty, and they start with one road. And they finally end up on the black hole way, meaning nowhere, and having spent a lot of money, a lot of resource, and a lot of time. Okay? So, one thing, when we speak about enterprise architecture, design, and project activities, well, they all combine. Okay? It's just one highway. They are not different roads. They are just lying on the same highway. Okay? And what is the goal that should steer enterprise architecture should steer, of course, obviously your project? It's delivery of business value. how this can bring me quickly business value. How can I get quick delivery of business value? Okay. So, we're not anymore in different road. We are on the same road, okay, with different line on this highway. And on each line, the first line on the right, it's the meta model, enterprise meta model. Being able to have a simplified view of the meta model underlying the business architecture and the system architecture, underlying the operating model. Okay? And then this meta model, you have some standard frameworks that helps you to qualify all the artifacts that are in this meta model. Then after you have your projects. Be it revisiting your business processes, be it changing your CRM, be it upgrading the network, okay, being having a big customer, okay, and that has an impact, I mean, signing a contract with a big customer that will have an impact on your operation. Okay. So, name it enterprise program, name it transformation program, it's the same thing. It's management, strategic, management of all your portfolio of projects. And then you have the enterprise architecture. Okay. The point is that it's just like when you start to learn to drive. Usually, you're going to start by the slow lane, right? And this is supposed to be the fast lane. But you don't start by the fast lane right away. And by the way, when you are driving, you are moving from one lane to another. So the whole game is to be able to address your pain points right away, when the pain is coming, of course according to priority. Okay? But also, build up your enterprise architecture using a methodology that enable you to incrementally document your enterprise architecture, right? Okay, so on this road, of course you have signs, you have warning. First, work with a simplified meta model. Second, yes, you need architecture governance. And even if this architecture governance starts with just 2 projects, that is covering just 10% of your whole operating model. But just enough architecture. Don't go overboard. Don't have the pretension of describing every bits and bytes in your organization. Of course, you're going to have an enterprise program. You're going to have to steer all your different projects. And you're going to use industry standards and best practice. So I would like that we spend 2 slides on just the enterprise meta model. Here in the context of ICE industry, a service provider like Turkcell, like Avea, like whoever, British Telecom, Deutsche Telekom, okay? How can we simplify the whole meta model? And here we're going to have, remember I spoke about business views, business architecture, system architecture. What could be the underlying meta model on the business layer? Organization, you know that, simple. Every enterprise is an organization. An organization has the ownership of processes, right? And these processes, the efficiency of these processes should be measured. So then you have another artifact, which are the business metrics. In any organization, everybody is playing a specific role. Each time you enter in the building of your office, poof, you have a cap that is falling on your head. You don't feel it, but it's the case. This roles give you the authorization to perform specific business activities, right? By the way, these business activities are manipulating information. Invoice customer. Allocate resource, right? And your business process are an orchestration of these business activities, manipulating information, right? Good. By the way, let's zoom on this. When I'm speaking about invoice customer, that's what we expect from a functionality. That's nothing else than a functionality. At home, wash dishes. That's a functionality in your kitchen. This functionality can be realized manually. You wash manually the dishes, or it can be realized by applications. A dishwasher, right? Good. So keep this in mind. What traditionally we allocate to applications that you buy to vendors, they are nothing else than what we're going to call and what we call business capability. Meaning, explaining, not in technical terms, but in business terms, what are the capabilities, the what that is required for an enterprise to perform its business. Let's move to the part of the meta model that is in the system, let's say, system architecture. First line is the same. But finally, if you have your whole operating model and that you are able to model all the business capabilities that your enterprise are requiring as interaction between business activity and business entity, all this business capability will be realized by applications, right? And this business capability will be exposed at an interface of an application. Clear? You follow me? A use case. Use case. When you have an IT project, usually you have this artifact that is the use case. The use case is here to express the logic of the solution, the underlying business logic of your solution. What is a use case in a specific project? A use case is an orchestration, of course, of activity, just like a process. Smaller scope, but it's also an orchestration of business capability. Okay? Good? Well, you see, it's not complicated. And we have covered all the artifacts that are required in an enterprise architecture. Here, I could say order management system, billing system, and look in the back and see what is the real-life system that is in your specific enterprise. Okay? So, we set a simplified view of the meta model. Now, we need to qualify all these artifacts. This is where the frameworks, and in the telco industry, TM forum frameworks, they help you to qualify all these artifacts. Follow me? They are just dictionaries that help you to, that are a dictionary of business activity, a dictionary of information, dictionary of type of application, dictionary of interface, business service, that are agreed inside the ICE industry. Clear? Here it is, TM forum. Dictionary of all the business activity, dictionary of all the business entity, dictionary of all the type of application that you can purchase on the market, and the dictionary of the interface. Okay? And this is tremendous leverage. That's why enterprise, that's why you're here. That's why TM forum is existing. That's why TOGAF is existing. We need all to agree on common standard. Because partnering is a way of life now. You cannot work in your own little corner with your own little vocabularies. Okay? What is the business capability that comes as overlay frameworks to these frameworks? Is that the business capability, well, is built in on activity from the business process framework, built in on entity of the information framework, built in on application from the application framework. Right? And what is a capability? A capability is something that is explaining the what. What does my enterprise needs to have to perform its capability? A process is just the how. Quite often, the enterprise are focusing on processes, but a process has a specific dynamic that fits to a certain point in time in the life cycle of the enterprise. Here, tomorrow, the process of today, 26th of July, for an order handling process will be different maybe in September 2014. So it's more important to focus on the what than on the how. The how is just an orchestration of the what. The what is stable. The process is volatile. The where, it's where are the business capability are supported. It's also volatile. Oh, today I have a dishwasher in my kitchen that is a Whirlpool. Tomorrow it's maybe going to be Beko. Okay. Clear? But the capability of washing the dishes is still here. Okay? So, okay.
Sorry, can I ask you?
Yes.
And also there's washing the laundry as well, isn't it?
Yeah.
Shall I say that washing or cleaning the capability and the laundry is required to the facilities, washing the dishes and washing the laundry? Or
It's up to you.
what difference does it make? Should
Well-
I want to put the entity other than the laundry?
Okay. How to answer your question? And that's a good example for enterprise architecture. To even more simplify, your house. You see your house and your apartment. You know the architecture of your apartment, right? There is platform, kitchen platform. There is living room platform. In each of these platforms, you are supporting, each of these platforms are supporting business capabilities. Okay? Maybe I'm going to have in the kitchen, I'm going to have refrigerate food. Okay? I'm going to have wash dishes. I'm going to have cook food. Okay? And a capability is nothing else than, well, we're going to come to this later on. So let's stay at the big picture. Okay? All of your projects in the house, you know what you want to do. Each of the projects that you have is just a project to create a new capability in your house. Right? It's exactly the same thing for the enterprise. Now, to answer your question, maybe from a platform point of view, the washing clothes capability is in the garage. Okay? Maybe I decide not to organize my house or my architecture perspective of the house, not in terms of kitchen, living room, and so on, but in terms of function. Like it's likely to happen in terms of enterprise. For example, we're going to see an example later where you have a company, service provider, that is organizing fulfillment platform, assurance platform, integration platform. Okay. Now, after the granularity of the business capability, is it two different capability? I would tend to say yes. Okay? Exactly, because this is two different objects. Okay? It needs to be discussed and analyzed. No, the key is the interaction between it's a verb object. Wash dishes, wash clothes. Okay? Finally, at the end, what is important is to have this capability covered. The way you want to represent it in your enterprise architecture, well, it's up to you. Okay? The way you want to package it in platform, it's up to, and it's specific and unique to any enterprise. Okay? It makes a difference in the end, in the modeling. Agree. Yes. So, in this business capability, you can also reflect other frameworks. Example, ITIL. You can create a business capability that is incident management, where you're going to find all the different operations inside this capability, okay, that are relevant to support an incident. You could have event management. You could have problem management. So, having this capability frameworks, okay, enable you to build up a framework of framework. Okay? But more importantly, to model what are the capabilities that you need to have in your architecture. It is helping you to define a 360 view, like the 360 view that you have in your mind for your house. You know exactly which functionality are existing in every platform, assuming that you organize the platform, kitchen platform, right? You may have a capability, okay, that may be supported by two different applications, realized by two different applications. I'm living in Switzerland, so it's cold in winter. Okay? In winter, the business capability refrigerate food can be the fridge, but it could also be the balcony, right? But it's still the same capability. One time, realized by two applications. Okay? That's enable you to have a consolidated view of how your capabilities are realized. Is there redundancy in the application to perform the same capability? So it starts, you see how this business perspective start to steer your enterprise, your system architecture. Here it's simple. You see that you have a fulfillment platform with capabilities that are realized by either applications, system roles, or people, business roles. Because not all capability in your environment needs to be automatized. Right? That's also another concept that is very important. That's why an IT architecture is not enough. You need to have a business architecture. Right? And linking the two is very important. Now, Cenk were presenting TOGAF, ADM methodology. Okay? Well, in the ADM methodology, you have the different phase, architecture vision, preliminary, business architecture. You see, of course, the people of the TM Forum and the Open Group works together to try to see how the two frameworks, the dictionaries, can map and be used in the TOGAF methodology. So there is mapping. So we see that in the architecture vision, the process frameworks, but also the application framework and the information framework are very useful. In the business architecture, it's more focusing on processes. In the information and system architecture, it's more the application and the information. Okay? So look, if you are able to model your business capability, identify in your enterprise the business capability that your business needs, you just have to deal with one capability across all the different phases. So it can be leveraged as an accelerator. So, now something that is important. You see the story of the house that you have, enterprise architecture, architecture of your house, and being able to identify which functionality are supporting all across your house. It's exactly the same thing if you map this to a corporate strategy. This is nothing else than what TOGAF is calling architecture capability planning. Meaning, what is the goal? Your corporate strategy is to deliver building blocks by incrementing the development of capabilities. You have the ADM methodology that helps you with different phases, but all this is steering all your different projects. Up, I decide to buy another TV. Up, I decide to buy a car show, to clean up the wall. I decide to buy a refrigerator. I decide to buy a microwave. They are nothing else than projects to have specific, to support specific business capability, functionalities. Clear? So, you see that this perspective of capability enable you to scope your project, enable you to scope your project while leveraging the different frameworks, structure your requirement capture and of related to a specific project, helps you to specify interface. Because the more you're going to go, the more you're going to, in one project, you're maybe going to develop the first building block. Then in the second project, you're going to develop another building block. And you're going to build up your architecture. Basically, listen to what I said. You have to transform as you operate, and you have to architect as you transform. You have to transform as you operate, and you have to architect as you transform. Meaning, having a project saying, well, unless the life cycle of your enterprise authorizes you to do this, then it would be excellent. But concretely in real life, very seldomly that this is possible. Okay? Starting by a big project saying, oh, we're going to assess everything in the enterprise, and then we're going to start to work and solve the pain point, you're never going to sell this to your top management. No. Top management, he has pain, here, fits, solve me all this pain. Okay? But if you are able to, beside just addressing a specific project, a specific solution, not bringing a solution, but bringing a building block that is a solution, but it's also a building block in the big picture of the architecture, then you are building your architecture. You start to architect as you transform. Clear? Yeah. Good. So, I'm going to go quick on this one, but this platform architecture will help you to be a baseline model to steer the evolution of your enterprise from the as-is situation to the to-be. Because every project that will happen can be scoped and will aim against business capabilities and will aim to develop this business capability that will be realized by the application or the development that you're going to do internally or the application that you're going to purchase. Here. So, to conclude, yes, there is industry standard. We need to take this into account. Yes, there is project-based activity, and there is enterprise design and governance activity. Okay. The value, business value, is in the middle. Depending on the life cycle of your enterprise, depending on the pain, depending on the budget, okay, you're going to place the cursor more on project or more on holistic governance. But even if you're here, you're still going to have a little bit of focus on project, because that's the reality that will bring you back to the necessity of results. Having a beautiful architecture documented doesn't bring value. Having an architecture that is enabling you to really, on a simple manner, govern, scope all your different projects, making sure that every project are not overlapping, making sure that you are not paying two different people to basically develop the same capability that will be implemented redundantly, then that will generate costs later on. That's the role of enterprise architecture. Okay? So after, yes, there is some activities that are possible. Okay, leveraging the frameworks, industry standard, best practice. There is some project-based activity that can span across the traditional phase of a project. And then there is EA governance. EA governance activity. Then sometimes, quite often, office documents reach their limit. You need to move towards EA tool to maintain this overall view. Then you may, based on the project, okay, decide to capitalize what has been done in this specific project. That's the case of the session 2. Okay? But in a big project, capitalize on what has been done in terms of methodology to document enterprise architecture handbook. That does not mean document the whole architecture at this stage, but instilling a methodology, an EA style methodology for your transformation project. Okay? That's it for the session 1. So I know that it's maybe a little bit abstract. Okay? So later on, in the second session, we're going to open up what is a business capability. See some example. The second session is nothing else than a management presentation that has been done to the top management of a service provider in Luxembourg. Really smart. Where they had a big project and they had the fire. They had to go fast. They had a big monolithic system doing a little bit everything, outdated. They needed to change this and moving towards service orientation. Okay. One project, the methodology that has been applied into this project can be leveraged for other projects to define an approach for EA design and governance and the business capabilities at the current levels. Okay? Question? Was I too pushy? No, frankly speaking, this is as simple. You see the CSP metamodel, enterprise metamodel? Everything is as simple as this. Organization, end-to-end processes, business metrics, roles. The role is not an organization. Business activity, business entity, interacting together are functionality that would be supported by an application, but it's more than this. It's a business capability. How can we identify all the different business capabilities that are existing in your enterprise? Use case, application, interface. You have everything. And look, we didn't speak about any technology here. The later you're going to speak about technology, the better it's going to be. Okay, I'm stopping.